Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you guys are getting some good information on the presentations that you've participated in so far. I know this morning presentation was very informative, and I've known you probably have an are ODing on information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the ed presentation a bit short. It's just going to cover basically what's going on in ed. And I want this to be more interactive. If you have questions about applying for federal jobs, if you have questions about specific jobs that you want to apply for, stuff that you heard in the main room that you want some clarity on, more than happy to do that. I am the branch chief for staffing. Uh, I have two of my co-workers here are folks here with me. I have the lead is Shane, sorry, and I have Sonora, one of our senior representatives. And so we are HR specialists. So when you apply for jobs, it comes to us. So who is better to give you a a good idea on what we look for as the first point of contact when you're applying for jobs? So let me give you some information on the Department of Education. We have a budget. We spend over $56 million on K through 12 students taught by between 3 and 7 million teachers in over 132,000 schools. We have 20 million post-secondary students taught by over 1.5 million, taught in over 1.5 million facility with over 4,000 plus institutions. Our mission is to promote student achievement and promote preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. That is very important, equal access. How we do that is we support programs that does research, does statistical analysis and evaluation of education across the states. We enforce the national civil rights and privacy law pertaining to education. We award more than $47 billion annually in grants. And we provide over $120 billion in aids to over 10 million college students. Here is a high view of the Department of Education. My department is off to the top left, Office of Finance and Operations. Under President Biden and under the First Lady, we have an executive order for hiring military spouse. It falls under the order of diversity, equality, inclusion, and accessibility for the federal workforce. This is an old number. We currently have about 4,400 staff within the DC, the regional office, and the field offices. The jobs that we hire a lot for are education policy people. We don't hire teachers. That's a state and local government job, but we manage the policy of how they should run operations. So we hire a lot of education policy folks, research and data analysis based on the previous couple of slides where we talk about research, because the data that we find goes back out to the schools, to the states. Grant management, of course, we are doing 47 or $57 million in grants per per year. Project management, communication, information technology, human resource area, not just in staffing, but we have classification, we have benefits, just all encompass human resource department and training and development. So how do we reach our how do we reach qualified applicants? We attend job fairs. We provide informational sessions like this. Um, we provide advice on on how to apply for jobs, which I'll be able to do later once you have your questions. We talk about resume building, and we will give you a first hand on how the resume building works. I know you've heard it in the session before, but I want you to hear about it from the HR specialists who will be reviewing them once they come over. We partner with other federal agencies. I've been to TAP programs where they present to the military members who are leaving, just kind of how to prepare to leave the military. Job postings on social media. Right now, our social media program is pretty much just getting off. I'm responsible for social media. Right now, what we're doing is most of the jobs that I'm posting on social media goes to LinkedIn, but they've formed a new group, a social media group that will be looking at other social media platforms in order to post jobs. And you won't apply for those jobs at the social media. It will direct you to USA Jobs to do your application. But right now we use LinkedIn. Of course, we're an equal opportunity employer. It is a very military friendly organization, no different than most of the federal government, all of the agencies. Shane is a ex-military uh, server guy. Benefits. So the federal government provides some of the best benefits in the country. We have health insurance, retirement, dental, vision, uh, thrift saving plan, which is the 401k in the private sector. Um, we will pay you to come to work. We have a transit benefit program. I go into the office 1 day a week. It costs me $32 for the bus from where I live to go downtown and back, and I get my $32 every month to pay to go to work, separate from my 2-week check. So you get paid to come to work if you have to show up in the office. And I know when I worked in DC, it was $100-something a month, but they do pay up to $230 per month in subsidies to use public transportation to go to work. Voluntary activities. The department matches leave taken from prior organizations. So if you've worked in an organization for years and you're starting a job with the federal government, you can request accrued leave, which means that based on the calculation, we normally start folks out at what, 4 hours per pay period. And if you're leaving a job where you're making 8 hours per pay period, we can request a accrual of leave. So you don't feel like you're starting over, earning only 4 hours per pay period. These are all negotiable when you're applying for federal jobs. You start out with earn leave 13 to 26 days of annual leave per year. You get time off for teachers conference, flexible work-life schedule. I can't see the bottom of the slide. Right. We really do believe in work-life balance here. None of my team works. All of my team are remote. Everyone on my team is remote. They work all over the country. I have DC, Atlanta, Texas, Colorado. Where else? And where?
Chicago.
Chicago. Oh yeah, you're in Chicago, right? Chicago. So we're all over. We're all over, and I, along with everyone here as leads, do believe in a work-life balance. So let me know what's going on and how I can help you be successful is my motto, both at work and at home. Okay. When you come to work here, I expect you to bring your entire self. You know, be engaged, participate, just be able to be yourself, and we will help you to be successful. And this kind of sums it up. You have a sense of belonging here. I love the mission of the organization, which is why I came here. I came here from CDC. I love the mission of the organization there as well. It's meaningful to me as a parent who have put 3 kids through college to be with an organization that puts education and monitors the state and local government to make sure that there's equal access when it comes to education. So that's my contact information. That website, that email address, all of the recruit actions come there. That is not tradition. That is not going through USA Staffing. This is the website where if all of the LinkedIn they come, if they're applying through LinkedIn, I could get it through there through Peace Score, or if you're just submitting your resume and not applying for a job and you're a military person, this is where it all comes. And from here, it goes into different database based on the eligibility. And yes, I am on LinkedIn, Ashley, but the Department of Education also has a LinkedIn website. So now is the time for us to be interactive. What questions do you have when it relates to applying for jobs? What have you learned from the previous presentation that you want us to elaborate on? And don't be shy.
So you can, at this point, I see there are a bunch of questions in the chat box, Wayne, as well. If you feel comfortable, please go ahead, go down to the reactions down at the bottom, raise your hand, and we will unmute you to ask your question out loud. So Shane, would you like to present the first question that's in the chat box?
The first question was, what are social media handles? And I went ahead and put a couple links on there for like LinkedIn, and then that's the Twitter handle too. If you just search Facebook for, it's just our Department of Education, and then you'll find it. I don't know the actual I don't know if they actually have a Facebook handle per se. If it is, it's like US. It's like ed.gov, I think, or something like that on Facebook. If you just look up ed.gov. And then if you go to ed.gov too, it will also be our own website as well. So all of the Department of Education like links are on there. New positions are on there. We put all of our positions on USA Jobs also. But if you want to actually find out more information about the Department of Education, just ed.gov.
All right, now I'm looking on USA Jobs and I'm seeing 23 jobs. I just search by the Department of Education, not by any job title or series or grade. What's the
So
other
I will
question?
leave it to my Department of Education colleagues how they'd like to proceed. If you want to handle the chat box questions first and then get to our hands that are raised, or would you like to do the hands that are raised first and then go back to the chat box?
We can go
questions?
back and forth.
So one of the other questions was, do you have any HR positions open?
We just filled. Ah, one of them is being drafted on Nicole's team.
I was gonna say, I think we have
So
one
that will
coming.
be posted in the next week or so. And I
So,
just filled one, the person starting next week. Is it next week?
another one, yeah, Wainwright he's on LinkedIn. So if you wanted to, look up Wainwright, he does have a LinkedIn account.
Why do you know that?
What skill sets are you most looking for? I think that depends on we have a lot of different positions. Like you said, what do you say? 23 was on there right now?
We have 23 positions right now. We have some student volunteer training program. We have education research scientists. We have legal positions. We have management program analyst, enforcement director, accountant, grant analyst, information technology training specialist, director of senior management, auditor, supervisory general general attorney. What else we got here? Supervisor equal opportunity specialist, contract specialist, a finance management analyst, program analyst, education program specialist, management program analyst, education program specialist, accountant. So they're
Okay,
all
so a big part of our organization too. So if you didn't, so like you said, like we don't really hire teachers and things like that. I know a lot of people think, hey, Department of Education, we hire all the teachers. That's not mostly like what we do is like the legalities of things like that and
the
Department of
policy.
Education and policy, a lot of policy things, grant management.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with a lot of grant management. Student loans are like huge, so I mean that's a big part of what we do. So finance and accounting positions and budget and things like that. Think, when you think student loans, think like Department of Education. So it makes it also seem like we have like a really huge budget, but a lot of that is Department of Education student loans. So we're the ones who kind of divvy those out and make that happen. So that's a big part of what we're looking to do. Financial student aid has their like own part. They're such a huge part of the Department of Education. They're almost like a separate entity to the Department of Education. So
Right.
that kind of explains how big they are. And I mean, as you can imagine, the billions and billions of dollars that go out and then loans and to get service and all those things, then you can see how that would be such a big part of the Department of Education.
I'm going to
Let's go.
pass it over to
Yeah.
Jenny Dobbs at this point in time and ask
Mhm.
her to unmute.
Hi, everyone. I'm
Hi.
sorry. I just joined the webinar. I'm still thankful that I'm able to join though. So I didn't get to see the first part, to be honest, of the
Mhm.
presentation.
Okay.
So I'm a new military spouse. I'm non-American, just finished my PhD in Tokyo, Japan, and I'm living here with my husband in Minot. And I'm just like, okay, I'm happy to have my degree, but I'm currently at a point where I cannot do anything yet because we're still doing the paperwork. So I guess my question might not be directly related to it, but what is something that I could do to upscale or uptrain myself in preparation for when the time that I can actually get to apply for any work? Yeah.
Okay. So you just got your PhD, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is it in something that you have experience doing?
Yeah. It's in educational technology, and I have quite a few of publications, and so yeah.
Okay. So you have both an education and you have experience.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So if you're applying for a job, if you had no experience and all you had was your PhD, you would be considered qualified for position at a GS 11. The education would be in lieu of experience.
I see. Okay.
Okay. But you have both. So you can, when you apply, you present your best self. You present your PhD and you present the experience based on the job that you're applying for. And you make sure that they're both clearly understood. You
Okay.
know, the worst thing that people do, and I've been seeing this for years, is they use one resume to apply for every job.
Right. Yeah.
So unless you're applying for the same kind of job all the time, that is not a good, that's not a good idea. Because let me give you a practical idea,
Mhm.
practical example. You're a doctor, you're OBGYN. I am looking for I don't know, an eye doctor. You are qualified for the position based on your education because you have the medical degree, you pass the boards. Are you qualified as a eye doctor? Not likely. So you have to specifically tailor your resume based on what is being asked for that job, as opposed to applying for the job because it says it's for a medical officer. Does that make sense? Did I lose her? I
You
may
got a
have
big
lost
heart
her.
waiting for that answer. And with that being said, I'm gonna open and ask A. Hatton to go ahead and unmute and ask her question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys so much. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thanks
Okay,
for
thank you.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having this session. This is very helpful for us, military spouses. So my question is in line with how to transition out of school system. So I have my husband and I, we're currently stationed in Delaware, but I'm originally from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I worked in DCPS. I've worked in Montgomery County Public Schools. I've worked in Alexandria City Public Schools. Where else? So between teaching English language arts, middle school and high school, school leader, overseeing major programs and things of that nature, to my most recent job was writing curriculum for school districts around the country. But my trepidation is how to transition from basically school system jobs mostly to the federal government. And it might sound like a crazy question, but as I'm
No, it's
looking on
not.
USA jobs, I'm like, I mean, I've done project management, I've done project, all these different things, but like, how do you, or what suggestions or advice can you all give us in terms of how to take our skills and experiences from school systems and find what would be the best fit for us so we can, operate in a capacity that's helpful to us and also helpful to you all. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So this is what I advise folks to do. For me, no experience is wasted. Okay. So everything that you have described a while ago are all transferable skills. How do you present it? You present it, you did it. So you present it in the professional, that how you have actually accomplished it. So you're a project manager and you're applying for a project management position. You're not going to emphasize the fact that you are a language arts teacher, because that doesn't add to your experience as a project manager when you're applying for the job. So when you look at a position that is asking for project management, read the duties. Are those the things that you have done? Read the specialized experiences, because there's like 3 of them and it's 2 out of 3. Have you done at least 2 of those specialized experience? And have you done them for more than 52 weeks, which is 1 year? And it's 52 weeks at the next lower grade. And if you have, make sure when you're writing your resume that you're addressing that experience. Don't focus on the things that we're not looking for. Focus on what we are looking for. We're looking for a project manager who has done this, this, and this. Make sure those items are standing out in your resume and show that you have done it for more than a year. I'm not sure if you were in the presentation earlier when they talk about resume writing, but it's also vital that you identify the timeline when you work. So let me give you an example as an HR specialist now. You send me a resume and you say you work from 2009 to 2010 as a project manager. You would think that that's 1 year, right? That would be 1 month, because I don't know when you started. So as far as I know, you could have started December and left in January. So unless you tell me that you started in December 2009 and you left December 2010, I can only, as a rule, an OPM rule, give you 1 month for that experience. And folks do that all the time. You'd be amazed at how many resumes that I've read. I said, this person would be great. The resume looks strong, but I don't know if they have 52 weeks of experience, because there is no date to collaborate that I can calculate, because we're going to be audited. So we are audited to make sure that we are not illegally employing anybody. So when OPM comes to me and asks me, how did you qualify Sonora as an HR specialist, when there is nothing on her resume that shows that she has 52? It shows that she worked here from 2009 to 2010, and from 2010 to 2011, and just, but there is no date to where I can do the math to say, okay, this adds up to 52 weeks. So you have to spend the time. Preparing your resume is the bulk of the work, to make sure that you are capturing everything that we need in order to qualify you. Because to be honest, we are not trying to disqualify you. My job is not to disqualify. I'm trying to qualify everybody, because I'm trying to make, at a minimum, the hiring manager, get them in front of a hiring manager. But you have to help me help you by providing the information. So you're writing your resume for two audience. You're writing your resume for the HR specialist to qualify you based on specialized experience, and you're writing your resume for the hiring manager, because they're going to review resumes before they schedule interviews. And if your resume doesn't speak to what they're looking for, even though you're on the cert, you may not be interviewed. Okay, was that helpful? Okay, great. Anybody else?
So one of the things too, so our opportunities for, I've been answering some of them on the actual chat, but, are there
Okay,
opportunities for current students looking to get into fields of education, but are not currently licensed to teach? Sonora, did you want to answer that one?
that's a state question though.
It's a state thing,
Because
but we
yeah,
also
because we
have the
don't hire
intern,
teachers.
we have like the internships and fellowships that
Yeah,
also help them.
our internships and fellowships are not teachers. The pathway programs are for like recent grad programs. We do have positions for students in recent grad, but those are folks who are, one, you're either in school and it's like an internship program, and the recent grads, if you just graduate from college, you have to up to 2 years to be eligible under the pathway program. And the pathway is across the federal government. Don't think it's just Department of Education. If you go online to USA Jobs and just click or search pathway, every agency has a pathway program to bring folks who have just graduated from college on board. If you're talking about going into a school system, that's a whole different thing. That's a state, or maybe it may even be, because I know in Georgia, where I live, it's a county thing. Gwinnett County does their own hiring thing. DeKalb County hires teachers. Not, I don't think the state participates, but I think it's down to the county to do the hiring of actual teachers. But if you're talking about working for the federal government as a recent grad or as a student intern, there are programs across the entire organization that does that. Anything else? Any other question in the chat there, Shane?
Yes. The next question is, I applied to Department of Education, was referred. I was not selected, but told my resume would be paired to upcoming positions in 90 days. Is this typical? Should I also send my resume to the positions that are relevant to the provided email?
If you, okay, so a cert is good for 90 days. And what we do is, like the position I just filled, once the position has been filled, any other department in the Department of Education who has a similar position is able to go in and look at the cert of qualified applicants for that position and interview and make a selection from that announcement. So yes, your resume is passed around. Well, it's not passed around. It's the list of certified applicants can be requested by any department within the Department of Education who has similar positions. But I would advise you to, if you're interested in a position, apply for it. What's the next one?
Okay, so I answered one on there, and then there's kind of like she also had a question about a follow-up. If there are recommendations for where they might look for guidance for resume reviews, actually creating the resume. I always recommend using USA Jobs Resume Builder. And the reason that I recommend that is because it actually has all the information that you need to have on there. So, your job, your title, when you started that job, all
How
those
many
questions.
hours you work?
Yeah, exactly. All those things are questions that we're going to
Dates.
ask when we're reading a resume,
Mhm.
and that will allow us. All those answers are on there, because if you filled out, so it basically has you fill out that information, like kind of like form fillable, rather than just, one like a Word document where you just start from blank. It actually says, okay, what was your job? What did you do? Kind of all those things are in there to help you build that resume, and it will answer all the questions we have. Then it also goes into like your education and all those. So, all those things we're looking for, the education, the experience, all those things they're going to ask you for that information. And then that allows us to find it on the resume. And then you can also use that, upload it later. You can print it as a PDF or whatever you need. And then you can use that in other things as well. So rather than, just as the resume builder, you can, kind of print it off and use it as your resume too, if you'd like. So kind of one of the big differences between like federal resumes and resumes that you're going to do for the civilian world, kind of the difference is, I don't want to say you need like 100 pages by all means, but whereas 1 or 2 pages kind of is enough, because that's probably all managers are going to read in the civilian world. Once you get into the federal government, say you have 20 years of work experience or something like that, maybe you have a 4 or 5 page resume, and that's okay. You can't really have too much information on there.
Exactly.
I don't think anyone wants to read a 20-page resume.
I have actually seen a 35-page resume.
Oh, I've seen, insane amounts of like
Right.
size of resumes.
But
Once you get to like your, kind of your most recent jobs, you know what I mean? If you've done jobs that are very high qualifying and stuff like that, probably those are the ones you want to talk about. We don't really need to hear your experience making sandwiches at Subway kind of thing. Once you get to those higher jobs, you can start leaving out all those other things out that you did in high school kind of out. So
And-
just the most recent, and that's going to get you qualified for the with the experience.
right. And keep in mind that as HR specialists, people don't think we read a resume, but we do. And we don't do word search. We actually read it to get context. Make sure that you actually are doing what you say you're doing, as opposed to just put down a word like, okay, project management. And I see project management and I say, okay, she said project management. Let's send her off to the hiring manager. No, I'm going to read to make sure that what you say you're doing is actually project management work. So we do read, and we read all the way down till we find you qualified. So we're going to, and I personally, I stop reading after I find out you're qualified. If in the first job that I read shows me that you'll have the year of experience, I don't need to read down 10 more jobs to see that you have the year of experience, because as the HR specialist, our responsibility is to make sure that we find that you have the specialized experience and the amount of hours are and the length of time doing the job.
Okay, and Melissa had a question, are fully remote positions and for spouses who are not stationed within, I think you're talking about the capital region probably, so like Washington DC and such. Sorry, I don't live in the capital region, so I don't call it, I'm like DC, so you know, yeah, there are a ton of remote positions available. Ed, I don't want to say we've gone like all remote per se, but like a lot.
Yeah, and it will be in the title of the announcement. It will say HR specialist remote options, you know, grant specialist remote options. So we have those.
And telework too. So if you do like going in the
Mhm.
office, some people like to go in the office. I mean, you know, you guys are mill spouses. I'm, you know, a dad myself. Like I totally see the value in also going to work and getting away from my kids. So I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm just saying sometimes I'm like, get me out of here,
Yeah,
especially when
I
they were
need to be.
homeschooling. I was like, I gotta go to my office. Like I literally have to be out of my house. So you know, we have both available. So you know, some like it's a very, so I mean, depending on supervisor, but Department of Education has such a huge ability to not just work remotely, but you know, if you want to do like 410s, they allow that. So like, you know, you know, you can do 8 days, 410s, you can do flexible schedules, telework. So then, you know, you're in the office maybe 1 day a week. Or, you know, if you want office space, just make sure to let them know. I mean, most positions now are telework and remote or remote. So I mean, almost have a conversation if you want a desk, because there's just so many more that are telework and remote. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I just want to remind everybody that we'll be wrapping up in about 5 minutes or so. The next session will start at 1:45. So you're encouraged to either stay for the beginning part of the presentation that you missed, or go ahead and get over to the other agencies' presentations. Thank you.
Jennifer Alstrom asked if there are jobs that generally hire people who only have teaching experience and general education degree. Do you want to take that, Wayne? Or
What's the question?
are there jobs that generally hire people who only have teaching experience and general education degree?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Okay, so when you're looking for jobs within the federal government, each series on the OPM determines the qualification for positions. So in an administrative position, the 300 series or any 300, 201 is an administrative position. All administrative positions, we do not have a required education. The 2210, which is an IT position, does not have an OPM required education. So there isn't like, okay, you have to have a degree in information technology. That's not the case. Or do you need to have a degree in human resources? No, you don't. So no, we don't. There's some position, however, that has we call a positive education requirement. A lawyer, you have to go to college and law school and pass the bar. That's a positive education requirement. A statistician, for those research that we do, the 1530, you have to have a certain amount of math and stats credit in your degree. If you have a statistical degree, that's fine, but it does speaks to what the amount of credit you need in what subjects in order to meet the first bar to qualify. That being said, in those administrative series, if you have no experience at all and you want to use your education in lieu of experience, the level of your education will determine the experience that it will substitute. So if you have a PhD, that will substitute your experience and you can apply for positions at the GS 11. If you have a master's, that equates to experience you'd have gathered if you were a GS9. If you have a bachelor's degree, it equates to a position, it equates to a GS7 and so on. But you will not qualify with education only for anything above the GS11. After the GS11, your education must come with experience. So, and when you look at the jobs in USA Jobs, when you click on them, it will tell you, it will say basic qualification and additional qualification. So you have to have the basic qualification if there's an education requirement. And if there's additional requirement, okay, so you have the education, you also need these specialized experiences.
So we got a couple other questions. The one is SPR 397, so I don't know who that is. I tried to answer them kind of in a private message. DOD, so Department of Education is not the DOD. So Department of Defense obviously is separate from us. It's going to be a very specialized answer. So I would recommend going to USA Jobs and applying for it. And not only that, just so you make sure you get your application in there, but also for the fact that I would go and look to see if you can email somebody there. You can answer questions about that. Usually on the bottom of the page for
You'll have
the
the contact information.
yeah, they'll have contact information for those people. So I would definitely go to make sure you can get that information from them. I'm not going to be really able to help, so sorry about that. A teaching position with DODEA, so that's the Department of Defense Education Activity. We're also not DOD, but I mean, I did work for the DOD, so I can answer a couple little questions about that. It just depends. So if you were doing GS 12 level work, then yes, your GS 12, it'll be GS 12 level experience. If you're a contractor or something like that, it's hard for them to designate really if it's a GS 12 level work or not. But I mean, if it's teaching experience that is, doing those kind of job duties, it's really hard for us to say, if it is or is not qualifying for the GS 13. But if you're talking about GS 12 level work, as far as like time and grade or something like that, it would actually have to be at the GS 12 level. But if you're not a current federal employee, you're not held to time and grade requirements. So hopefully that answered that question as well.
So with that being said, Shane, Priscilla, I'm going to have to ask you, we have to switch over to the next presentation. So either if you could hold your question and drop it in the chat box or send it to one of the presenters directly, that would be better. Or if you're on for this presentation, then please stay with us and ask your question at the end of this presentation. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for their time. We're going to be switching over to the next presentation now. So welcome everybody to the Department of Education presentation. I'm going to pass this over to Mr. Wayne Wright and start sharing my screen. I am Peter Scarabelli. I'm here to assist with any Zoom technical questions and to facilitate this presentation. Thank you very much.
There are folks coming back in. Are we ready? Welcome everyone to the Department of Education presentation. I hope that the session you were involved in earlier this morning was very helpful. I will try to expand on any questions that you may have based on the information you received earlier. I know it was a lot of information. So if you have specific questions about applying for jobs with education or the federal government for that matter, we'll be more than happy to assist you. My name is Wayne Wright. I'm a branch chief here at the Department of Education. And two members of my teams are on the call. I have Shane and I have Sonora on the call with me. Okay, so the Department of Education, we service over 56 million K through 12 students through about 3.5 3.7 million teachers in over 132,000 schools. We have 22 million post-secondary students taught by 1.5 million facilities in over 4,000 plus institutions. Our purpose here is to promote student achievement and prepare for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring, most importantly, ensuring equal access. So how do we meet our mission? One of our big things that we do here is that we support research, statistical, and evaluation of educational programs across the country. We enforce the national civil rights and privacy law pertaining to education. We award more than $47 billion annually in grants and provide $120 billion in aid to over 10 million colleges. Here is an overview of the organization. We are located, Shane, myself, and Snora, we're located over in the Office of Financial and Operations, and we're in HR. We are HR specialists, and we hire for the Department of Education.
Wayne, if I could steal the mic for 1 second. If you are interested in using the transcriptions, you'll see them running by on my screen, but if you'd like to see them on your screen, please go to your toolbar down at the bottom or at the top and click on live transcriptions and go ahead and open them up. Back to you, Wayne.
Okay, thank you. Okay, military spouses are recognized under President Biden executive order on diversity, equality, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce. And that is across the federal government. I know this says we have 36,000 staff, but we actually have about 4,400 staff across this DC regional offices and field offices. The positions that we hire for, because we don't hire teachers. You know, we don't hire for local schools. That is done at a state and local government level. But what we do is policies and to make sure that we're monitoring how the states operate when it comes to education and the funding for education. So we hire a lot of education policy folks, research and data analysis folks, grant management, project management, communication, information technology people, human resource management, training and development. How do we reach our target audience? We do what we're doing now. We do informational sessions. We do virtual career fairs. We conduct resume reviews. I've been out to the TAP classes when folks are leaving the military. We post jobs on social media right now. I'm also the social media person, so all the jobs that go to social media comes through me. We're focused, most of the jobs go only to LinkedIn right now, but we have a work group that is developing other social media platforms in which to post our jobs. Keep in mind that when we post them on social media, you can't apply for them on social media, but it will direct you to USA Jobs for that specific announcement. We are an equal opportunity employee, and we are a military-friendly organization. Working with the federal government comes with excellent health and insurance benefit. right out the gate. You come in, you have health, dental, vision. You have access to the 401k, or what you guys calling this in the true saving plans, what it's called in federal government. Private sector's 401k. You can start immediately. We pay you to come to work because we do have a metro subsidy for public transportation, up to $270 a month to take bus, trains, however you need to get to work, subsidized by the department. Uh, when it comes to leave matching, we offer that if you can show that you have accrued leave that we can translate into um, above the minimum accrued leave to start in the federal government. When you start here, you normally start at 4 hours, but you're coming from the private sector and you have 15 years of experience and you've been earning 6 hours per pay period for leave. Once you provide the necessary documentation, that can be granted as a leave accrued. So you, instead of starting at 4 hours per pay period, you'll be granted to start where you are now at the 6 or 8 hours, whatever that may be. There's subsidy for childcare, reasonable accommodations if you have a disability of any sort. I went over the leave. This is 13 to 26 days per year, and unpaid, and up to 13 days of paid sick leave. You get time off to go to teachers conference. We believe heavily in work-life balance. So if you need to take care of stuff, just let your managers know so we can make sure that you are able to, that when you're at work, you're 100% at work. And if you need to take care of stuff when you're supposed to be here, let us know. Very flexible organization to work for. So this is just some more information on the benefits. We create a culture where you can feel free. It's an excellent environment to work in. We expect you to show up with your entire self. You know, just let us know how we can help you to be successful. And here are just some of the things that our lifestyle is here. Like I said, bring your whole self to work. We want you to contribute. We need your participation, because everyone has something to contribute, and we listen. And your feedback is taken into consideration on the decisions that we make. The email address here you see is the email address that appears on our social media account, and including Peace Score. So when we post jobs in Peace Score in LinkedIn, that is coming directly to us. It comes directly to me, and from here, I send them out to the programs that are looking for folks, or to the database that houses vet preference and Schedule A preferences and the different eligibilities that folks may have submitted a request for. What I want this session to be is, I need it to be interactive. I want you to ask questions, specific questions about the things that you would like answers on. Shane, myself, and Sonora are HR specialists. When you submit a resume, it comes to someone like us. So who better to enlighten you on how to apply for a job than the people who are first looking at your resume once you submit it to the agency. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions?
So I see Priscilla has her hand up already, so let me go ahead and ask Priscilla to unmute, and then Carolina O'Connor will be next.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Priscilla. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm driving. That's why I didn't want to type. So,
Oh, no problem.
my question is, I heard you previously saying that if you're unexperienced but educated, a little bit here and there.
Oh, you're breaking up, dear. I can't hear you clearly.
Sorry. I said I overheard you say right previously that if you have education but as in the world.
I'm not hearing that. The only thing I hear is, as you said previously, and then it goes crazy.
Oh, okay. I'm saying that I heard you say that if you are unexperienced but educated, you have to you talk about something like G11 or something 11. I was driving, so I didn't really get that part.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. Okay. So within the federal government, there are different GS band.
Okay.
And that's just the level of experience, from GS1 all the way to GS15. And on each band, there are 10 steps. What I was saying is, without education, without experience, if you have a PhD, with your PhD, you, in lieu of experience, you would be qualified at a GS11 on the GS scale band that goes all the way from 1 to 15. If you have a master's degree, you would be qualified in lieu of experience at the GS9. And if you have a bachelor's degree, you'll be qualified at the GS7 in lieu of experience. So based on your education, you can go on the USA Jobs website and search for a position based on the degree that you have. So if you only have a bachelor's degree, I would not be applying without having any experience. It would be pointless to apply for a GS 14, 15 position with your bachelor's degree if you do not have GS 13, 14 experience. Does that make sense? So if you have a PhD, you can qualify for anything from a GS 11 down. Got you. Yeah, so, from a GS 11 down to whatever, you can qualify because you have your PhD.
And now I'm going to ask Carolina to unmute. Are you all set, Wayne?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to help us to navigate careers with education. I'm very passionate about it. I haven't seen too many opportunities in the area where I am. I'm in St. Petersburg in Florida. So I'm wondering what would the best way to find those opportunities in education. I do have a master's degree in management and leadership. I have experience in training and development. I help service members transitioning from the military to the civilian side through the TAP program. And I just find the passion of, keep helping assistant veterans and military spouses to navigate that transition. So I'm just wondering what would be the best way to get into the education with you guys.
Okay, so a lot of the positions at Ed has they've been making a lot of positions more reachable by making them remote. So you can search for positions that has remote in it. If it's remote, if it's 100% remote, it will say so in the title, like it will say management analyst remote potential. So it can be remote, or if you're in the local area, then it can be a telework. Look for an announcement that says location negotiable. So once you've been selected, you can request that your home be the location. My entire staff is location remote. There is no one here on my staff that comes into the office in Atlanta. Only me. But everybody else is all over the country. We have some folks in Atlanta, DC, Chicago, Colorado, Texas, and they work on their time zone. So those in Chicago work Central Time Zone. Those in Colorado log in when it's their shift to log in, 7 to whenever they log in, which is my time. That's like 9 o'clock, but that's fine. Yeah, but
Wonderful.
those are. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have a following question.
Mhm.
I work with the Census Bureau. It was a short time frame. It was through the census. So it was a 7 months job. And I know some of the positions they ask you, okay, you are previous federal employee. So I am, but I don't have any evaluations from my previous employers. So how do you add it or not? Or what would
You
your
do.
recommendation?
I recommend that if the position is important to the job that you're applying for, because that's his 7 months of experience. If you're whatever you're doing that census, I don't know what that is, but if that experience contribute to your year of experience doing the next job that you're applying for, of course you're going to write that down. When it comes to bringing you on board, there may be some information you're going to have to provide, or at least provide the contact information of someone at census to provide the necessary documentation to send your records over. Because your record, when you join the federal government, it will follow you throughout your entire career. If you go from agency to agency, when you leave education to go to Department of Labor, it follows you there. They just have to switch records and transfer the information to you. So census does have the information that you work there. You just don't have it. And what you
Right.
could probably do is you could probably reach out to the census now and request a copy of your SF-50.
I have that one.
Okay,
I
so
just I
good.
don't have an evaluation because it was too short. It was
No,
7
that's
months.
fine. But your 50 will show that you were there. I'm not sure how your 50 reads if you were a term employee or a temp employee, or were you accepted service. I don't know what is on your 50,
Right.
but
No, I don't have it in front of me. Sorry.
okay, that's fine.
But yeah,
I hope
so
that helps.
definitely included, right?
Oh yes, if
Okay.
it will help you to get the job. And like I say, we're talking about experience here. And in the previous session, I was emphasizing to one of the questions asked about documentation. We are HR specialists, and one of the reasons why I volunteered for this and voluntold Shane and Sonora about this is because I think it's important. I think the best source to get information about how to apply for a job is from the people who are looking at your resume, so we can tell you what we are looking for. So when you're applying for a position, yes, we have had 20, 30 years of experience, but is it all relevant to the job that you're applying for right now? Probably not. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is using one resume to apply for every job. That's not what you want to do. You want to look at a job announcement. Look at the duties and responsibilities in the announcement. Look at what the qualifiers are and what the specialized experience are. And if you have those things, focus on those things in your resume and make sure that you're accounting for the time that you have done it. So every job is going to require that you have a 52 weeks of experience at the next lower grade. It may not be 52 weeks, you may not have it at one job. I'm going to use a very simple example. We're looking for a typist, but you worked at this place for 3 months as a typist. That won't qualify you. You may work a year ago, you have worked somewhere else for 5 months, and so on and so forth. So we go in and we look at each job that you have held to see if we find the 52 weeks of experience. Keep in mind also, this is a mistake I see too often, is people do not date their experience. They will say, I did it back in 2011. Okay, 2011, I have 12 months, like every year. And you said you did it from 2011 to 2012. In your mind, you think you did it for a year. I can only give you 1 month. Because as far as I know, you started in December of 2011 and end in January of 2012. You know that you started in April of 2011 and worked until August of 2012. HR specialist doesn't know that, and they cannot assume that you have a year's experience based on that information that you provide. So at a minimum, you need to put year, month, and year on your experience. And you'll be amazed at how often people are found not qualified because we cannot identify the length of experience on their resume.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wright.
Oh,
Appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome anytime.
We have another one in the chat. Is there any on-the-job training provided, or do you have to have very specific experience to work for the Department of Education?
We have, well, if you go to USA Jobs right now, there are at least 23 jobs out there for the US Department of Education. Each one is specific to the program that is trying to hire them. We're looking at, I'm actually on their student volunteer program, which is a way of getting experience. There's education's research scientist, associate education research scientist, management program analyst, employment enforcement director, accountant, grant management, training specialist. There are a whole bunch of different positions that are available, and all of these require a level of experience, because these positions that I'm looking at right now are GS 14. There's a financial analyst, which is a GS 7 through 9. 7, you can qualify with a bachelor's degree. 9 with a master's degree without any experience. Anything higher than a GS 11, you need experience. I'm still looking. Okay. Yeah, so those are the positions that we have available now.
So I guess the long and short of it is, most positions that are higher in level are you need the specific experience. The lower ones, the lower you go, the less experience you need, the more training that is available. Obviously, with every job, there's a certain, getting ready for the position that's going to be helpful. So like if you have a lot of the experience, but not all of it, it's going to, help you get your foot in the door and have the experience to get hired. And there's 90 days, kind of to get up to speed with things. But the lower level positions are going to be a lot more likely to be able to train you.
And keep in mind, when you're writing your resume, this is my philosophy that no experience is wasted. And a lot of experience that we don't think about are actually transferable experience. What I tell folks to do when they're writing their resume, like when you look at your job now, what do? Write down, before you write your resume, in bullet points for your notes, what exactly is it that you do? Because people have a tendency to generalize what they're doing in a position when they're doing far much more. And what they're doing, their contribution is far exceeding what they think they're doing. So take the time out, look at your job as whatever that job is, and write down points that you do, and how does that affect your organization, your department? What are the results? How does that equate to your contribution to the organization? It will help you to write a better, stronger resume.
And then we have somebody with their hand up, Tanita.
Where did
And
she go?
we just lost her.
No, she's there. She just
Okay.
took her hand down.
So Tanita, if you want to unmute and give us your question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you for clarifying as far as like the GS 9 to 11.
Mhm.
So I have a master's in new media journalism and bachelor's in media studies, and I have a
Mhm.
passion for education. And so I'm looking for opportunities to like mesh the two. So I've been looking at like the public affairs type positions.
Mhm.
So are those opportunities like available with the Department of Education to kind of merge the two passions for communications and education?
Okay. So let me see, because I thought I saw a communication position right now on there. Or maybe that was part of my presentation. No, just a training specialist. I don't see any communication specialists currently listed in the Department of Education. But I'm sure you have transferable skills that as a communicator, developing training materials.
Yes.
So you say communication, but that's a very broad field. So think of how communication affects employment. Think of how communication affects other skill set within an organization. And write your resume. If you're interested in those positions, you should apply. And yes, I'm speaking on at Department of Education, but this is across the federal government I'm talking about. I just came over here from CDC back in January, and they are looking for, what's the series again? I forgot the series number, but they're looking for communication specialists. They create contents for stuff like what's happening in monkeypox and COVID. And even though there's stuff that don't make the big news, but it's constantly, it's there, it's just not in the news cycle. And every agency is looking for someone who is in communication, doing social media, creating a brand.
So I don't want to just not just for Department of Education, but just in general public affairs. Yeah, it seems like a really great mesh for what we're talking about. The series for that is like a 1035. If you put 10 1035 into the search bar on USA Jobs, it's got like 94 positions open for public affairs specialists. So I mean, I don't want to just,
And
I don't want to say, hey, only at Department of Education. I always want to make sure that this is for everyone involved. So make sure you're just going out there and putting the position in there and finding all the ways that you could be find a position in the federal government. And that's one of the great things about the government is you can start working for whatever, the Department of Defense or OPM or the Department of Education, and transitioning to the other departments is so much easier once you're already in the federal government. So I just want to kind of put that out there too.
I want to say the communication series is a 1001 as well for communication.
Okay. And Vanessa has her hand up.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I have a question for you guys. What advice, if any, do you have for spouses who have gaps in their resume or have done things for certain periods of times that don't speak to their either bachelor's degree or master's degree? For example, during times that we've relocated for change of duty stations and stuff like that. I've done things like substitute teach or personal training that didn't really go in line with my degrees. And there's times where, I haven't worked at all due to, solo parenting and stuff like that. So what advice do you have when I'm constructing my resume to try and to get in with the Department of Education to speak to those gaps?
Okay, so the gaps can be explained, especially when you get to the interview process.
Okay.
And there's a form that you fill out when I was going through the employment process, which is a SF-85, where they talk about the different gaps. But before you even get there, when you're writing your resume, don't worry about the gaps. Worry about the experience for the job that you're applying for. So if the job that you're applying for requires an experience as an accountant, and you have an accounting degree, and you have done accounting work for a few years, and you stop because you need to go, you're raising your child or your children, or you got to fly across the world to go be with your husband and do substitute teaching. They're teaching English as a second language in Japan, or whatever it is. None of that is important to the HR specialist as to your qualification. What I'm going to be looking at is, do you have the skills in accounting that this position is looking for? And I will read your resume, or your resume should be read all the way down until we find your experience. And once we have the 52 weeks that, okay, it shows here that back in 2019 or 2017, you were an accountant over here until 52 weeks, 2 years later, and you have the skills in whatever this accounting position requires. You may be doing consolidations or whatever it is, and it shows that you did that at that time. That qualifies you. Now, in the interview process, the hiring manager may ask, they may say something like, "I see that you have some gap in employment." That's a reasonable question. You say, "Yeah, I was raising my children." That is not a deterrent at all. And they know, especially your military person, they know you've been all over the world. We understand that you left and you move someplace every 2 years. Folks are concerned that it shows instability if you're always looking for a job every couple of months. But if you're a military person looking for a job every year, then yeah, because you move every year. And it is understood. It is understood. So I wouldn't worry about it at all. Any other questions?
I just wanted to remind everybody, we have about 10 minutes until the next session starts.
So Shanita did ask a question in the chat. She said, "Thanks for the presentation." She attempted to apply for a training specialist position earlier this morning. However, the vacancy is only for current federal student aid employees serving under competitive permanent appointments under temporary appointments with reinstatement eligibility. And I answered it quickly in the chat, but just to kind of, add to it. This is a rarity, really. Usually it's with higher GS level positions where there's so many internal candidates that they only want to choose from internal candidates. And I kind of, I don't know if you were, but when I spoke earlier, FSA, the Federal Student Aid Agency, is a pretty large part of the Department of Education, and so they have a lot of internal employees to consider. I know, as much as everyone wishes that all positions were open to everyone and mill spouses and everything, as a current employee, you can also kind of understand and see that you would like to be considered for the position before external candidates are given a position too. So that's also kind of where they're coming from on something like that. So hopefully, yeah, okay, yeah, she said, yeah, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, I mean, as an internal employee, we like to see that you're kind of up for the promotion before you give it to somebody external. So that's why a lot of times with the higher like GS 14 and 15 level positions, you'll see that they are open only internally. And then I mean, I don't want to say lower level positions, because really the Department of Education doesn't even have that many lower, like GS 2, 3, 4, 5 positions are really not even part of the Department of Education. They're really, I don't want to say we start at the GS 11 series, but like,
We have some sevens, but it's
yeah,
pretty
we have a
much seven.
few, most
We
of our
started
even
we
like
started we
even
started at
positions
least
lead
at
up.
bachelor's degree level when it comes to education.
Yeah,
for
most of our
position.
positions lead into, so like they'd be like a 7 lead 13. So I mean, we have positions that are like the higher level too, that are open to everyone. And they even start like a GS 7 or 9 level. So it's important to look at that. And when kind of asked about, hey, do you train people? Those are the ones too where we're going to give the most training available. Some
Mhm.
positions we don't even have the availability to train. Like if say we have a GS 14 or 15 position, we really don't have time to be training for that position because we've already been doing the training for that position. We have GS 11, 12, 13 positions that we've already been training people in our organization to take those GS 14 and 15 level positions. So like I said, they're only open internally to like Department of Education, and kind of the same thing there. So we have a lot of career ladder positions that are 7, and then they lead up to those higher positions. And then, throughout that process, you get the training you need to get to that higher position. So look out for those positions as well. And yes, so like if you okay, so there's another question Natasha asked. Are there only sections to search for positions within the Department of Education for 1035 and 1001 series? Yeah, if you go on the right side of USA Jobs, there's going to be a part where you can go it filters, and then the filters are going to be they have hiring paths and location. If you go to the part where it says department and agency, the Department of Education will come up. Like right now, so there's no 1035 jobs open. So if you put like 1035 in there or public affairs specialist or whatever job you want in the search bar and the keywords, they'll come up, and on the right side it'll say Department of Education. If there's no Department of Education positions open for that though, that will not be an option to select. So if you type in 1035 in the keywords, which is public affairs specialist, the department and agency is going to come up like, so there's 94 total throughout the whole federal government. Like if you look at the Department of Commerce, they have 2, Department of Army has 21, Department of Energy has 4. We don't currently have any, so you can't narrow it down to that for us because we don't have any open right now. So, but that's where you would do that. So you just go to the department and agency tab on the right side, and that will narrow your search down to our agency. And then, okay, Simone, so she asked if we have any HR roles available, and we have one coming up here soon. So be on the lookout for that. It's not announced yet, but it will be here within the next week.
Within a week or so, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're interested in any HR positions for human resources, that is like an 0201. So if you type in 0201 or human resources specialist and USA Jobs, a ton of them will come up. And HR positions are really great right now because a very large majority of them are remote positions, which leads into a good availability for everyone around the country. So I would look into that as well. And the level pending opening soon is a GS 13. So her asked question was, what's the level pending opening? And it's our full performance level for HR specialists is GS 13.
We have a couple more minutes for more questions. We got about 4 minutes before we switch over to the next presentation.
And then somebody asked, sorry, my dogs were going crazy for a second there. For HR positions, do you need to have a PHR?
No.
Yeah, no, just the experience. Especially, you can't even qualify for positions like with degrees and stuff like that, that are above the, that are the GS 13 level. But a lot of times too, we'll open it lower, so it's like a lead-in position, so like a 12 lead 13 as well. And sometimes it's even, like a 11, 12, 13. So it just depends on, who they're looking for hiring. They're looking to train
For the
people.
level of experience, yeah.
Full performance, yep.
Any additional questions?
All right, I don't think we have any more questions. So I do want to say thanks everyone for your time and attending and listening to us, and good luck to all of you on your career paths, and appreciate all you do for our country as well. So being mill spouses, it's a big honor to be able to serve you all. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks,
And so
Shane.
with that, if you're switching over to another department or agency's presentation, go ahead and use that link to get over there. And we'll go ahead and reload for the next presentation, the Department of Education.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we'll have a great day. So Shane Arson, or do anyone of you want to do the next presentation? One more time.
No.
You didn't even hesitate. Okay. What about you, Shane?
We do have two more. So we'll
We
go
have
two
two
more?
more.
15. Here to 315 and then 315 to 4.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we
know.
only had 3. Okay.
3. You
I don't.
didn't we had
I
3 to
don't.
do, right? You didn't tell
Yeah.
us.
No, because I know you. That's one more, but I love the giving out the information. So I think it's good information for them to have. Absolutely. I wish we had a budget to go to top classes to do this in person.
Oh, okay.
This is the part of HR work that I like most. Job fairs and meeting folks.
I prefer them in person.
Yep. Yeah, but COVID put a stop to all of that in-person gathering stuff.
Yes.
But this actually allows people from all over the country to participate. So that's one good thing.
All around the world.
Yes, for that matter. Yep. All they need is a Zoom link and they're present. I love that. And even filling the positions that we have now, that we have a lot of positions remote, it's easy to hire folks from anywhere to get the job done, as opposed to you have to be in DC,
Well, let's go ahead and kick it off. My name is Peter Scarabelli. I'll be assisting with any technical questions, Zoom questions, or issues that you may have for this Department of Education presentation. If you have questions, please put them into the chat box or go ahead and raise your hand. We will be calling on people to go ahead and unmute and ask their questions aloud at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wayne Ray.
Good afternoon. My name is Wayne Wright. I'm a branch chief at the Department of Education in the Department of Staffing. So I'm an HR specialist, and I have folks here on my team that are also HR specialists. I have Shane, I have Sonora, And we thought it would be a good idea to participate in this program because who's better to give out information on how to apply for federal jobs than the people who the resume comes to. So a bit about Department of Education. We have over 56 million K through 12 students taught by 3.7 million teachers in over 132,000 schools. We have some 20 million post-secondary students taught by 1.5 million facilities in 4,000 plus institutions. Our mission here at ED is to promote student achievement and prepare for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and, very importantly, ensure equal access to education. So how do we accomplish that? We support research, statistical and evaluation of educational program across the entire United States. We ensure that the national civil rights and privacy law pertaining to education are upheld. We award more than $47 billion annually in grants. We provide over $120 billion in aid to over 10 million college students. This chart shows an overview of the Department of Education. We're located in the top left corner there on the Office of Finance and Operations. Military spouses are recognized under President Biden's executive order on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So we have about 4,400 staffs in the Department of Education that covers the headquarters in DC, 11 regional offices, and 13 plus field offices. We hire we don't hire teachers, because a lot of folks think we hire teachers and principals and stuff like that. We don't. That is at the state and local government level. We are a policy office. A few slides above, we talked about our mission and how we accomplish those missions. We accomplish those. Right. So we accomplish those behind these positions that we have that we was just on board here, and those positions helps us to do the research that is needed by the Department of Education to ensure that we accomplish our mission. So we hire a lot of education policy folks, research and data analysts, grant management, project management, communication specialists, information specialists, HR specialists, and training and development people. How do we reach our target audience? We use social media. Right now is mostly LinkedIn, but we're looking to expand that as well to other social media platforms. We attend virtual job fairs and informational sessions like this one that we're doing right now. We provide advice on how to apply for jobs and outreach. We will help you with how to structure your resume. Before COVID, we have done the tap classes for folks when they're leaving the military. Hiring manager speaks to prospective applicants. We are an equal opportunity employee, and it is a very military-friendly organization. So is most of the federal government. Well, all the federal government, because we are an equal opportunity employee for everybody. coming in the federal government, your benefit starts immediately. You start with your dental, vision, medical, access to true saving plan, which is the same. In the private sector, it will be a 401k. If you go into the office, we actually pay you to come into the office or pay for your means of getting into the office through subsidy, $270 per month in monies for public transportation to get you into the office. Childcare subsidy, time off to go to teachers conference, leave accrued if you have years of experience and you've been earning a certain amount of leave per pay period, and we can show that you've been earning 8 hours per pay period. Normally when you start in the federal government, it's 4 hours per pay period for vacation, for leave. But they will, on occasions, if it can be documented and proven, they will be able to match that. Work-life flexibility. There's different telework schedule, flexible work schedule. There are folks on my team who work 10-hour days, 4 days a week. We're very flexible to make sure that we accommodate your needs, so you can, when you're present at work, that you are 100% present. And it's hard to do that if you have life events that you need to take care of. So we are very flexible in making sure that you can meet both obligations. When you come to the Department of Education, we expect you to bring your entire self, your whole self, because let's press in. Because I believe, and we believe, that you have something to contribute. Your entire experience has prepared you to contribute. I don't believe, I don't consider any experience wasted. Everything that you have ever learned has brought you to the point where you are. So none of it is wasted. A lot of stuff that you have learned are all transferable skills into your next opportunity. We want you to bring those skills to the agency and help to build it, and help us meet our mission. So yes, that is pretty much Ed at a high level. I want this session to be interactive. You have 3 HR specialists on here who are able to answer just about any questions when it comes to applying for jobs within the federal government. It doesn't necessarily have to be questions about applying for jobs at Ed, but applying for jobs at the federal government we will get you the information you need in order to do that. Here, the next slide will be my contact information. That's my phone number, and that's the email address to the recruitment website that I monitor.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. If not, drop it into the chat box at this time.
So Carrie left, but Carrie did ask, Carrie Campbell asked if we hire teachers. And I don't want to say we don't hire teachers per se, but we don't hire teachers for teaching. If you're a teacher,
right, we don't hire teachers for classrooms.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Did she leave, or she just
She left.
Did she already leave? Okay.
Priscilla does have a question though. Her hand is raised.
Okay.
She wants to go ahead and come off mute and ask her question. Be great.
You're still on mute, Priscilla. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Hi, so I'm actually I work at a middle school now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a licensed social worker and wanted to learn more about grant writing. I wanted to know, was there any opportunities where they train you? Because it's something that I haven't done before, but it is something that I'm seeing because I work for a grant now, and I would just love more insight on like how grant writing works and how I can kind of help, because I've been working on the front lines and I kind of see
Mm-hmm.
what like the needs are, but I don't know how to go about the writing piece.
Okay. Let me see. I'm looking at a grant position. I'm online now looking at if we have any grant position at a lower level, because based on what you just said, you wouldn't qualify for a grant position above what your education level is. What's your degree? What level degree do you
Um,
have?
I have my master's degree in social work and I am
Okay.
licensed in the state of New Jersey.
Okay. So the master's degree, you can qualify at a GS9. That is in lieu of education.
Okay.
So with a master's degree, like if you have a PhD, you can qualify the GS11, master's degree GS9, bachelor's degree GS7. I would advise that if you're interested in grant management position, you would probably start looking at position in the GS7/9 level to apply for those jobs using your education as a qualifier, because those grade levels are not the full performance level. So they don't expect you to be able to be at your full performance level.
Okay.
Also, you also said that you're on the front line of how grant manage of grant writing. So you know what they need. Don't
Yes.
undersell yourself that you do not understand the writing part of grant, because you're at that position where you know what an organization needs when it comes to requesting for grant. Okay.
Okay.
So when you look at a position that is a grant writing position or a grant management or a grant position, focus on the duties that they will be performing. The duties will reflect the next lower grade level, and the specialized experience will also reflect the next lower grade level. And look at your experience because as a person on the front line, evaluate exactly what is it that you do and
Okay.
compare that to what's being asked in the announcement. I do realize that people underestimate their experience when they're writing. They say general things, but I would like you to look like, you know there's no position I see right now by Ed, but I would take time out now and start making some bullet points on your daily work that you do when it comes to grants. What exactly
Okay.
do you do, and what does what you do contribute to the grant writing process? Because you are learning. Once you're participating in that process, you are learning. The fact that you are not writing grant by yourself is not a problem. Are you assisting? Are you participating in the process? That's experience. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
One of
Yes.
those things too I'd like to recommend is, so since you're interested in writing grants, go like if you go to USA Jobs, just type in like grants management specialist. And then you'll find a lot of positions that have those that are at the lower grade level. It might be, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to just steer you at the Department of Education, because most of our positions are very high level. So like right now, he said, we have a GS13 one open. So maybe that's
Mhm.
your end goal, is to write grants management for education services and stuff like that, because that's what you're into. But you could
Mhm.
start, with, so like right now, Department of Energy has some that are like 7 through 15. So you can start getting your foot in the door with the federal government at a GS7. And then, you don't need all that experience to start off there. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
start at a GS, 7 level, and then, work your way up. It'll be like usually it's like a 7, 9, 11, 12, because they're usually 2-step intervals. So you'll quickly move up. So, your first year you might be a 7, second year a 9, third year 11, fourth year, 12 and then 13. Then so it starts to go in 1 steps, but your first few are 7, 9, 11, and then it goes 12, 13. So that's a good way to get your foot in the door. You don't have to, start with the Department of Education just because you finish here, or vice versa. You might start here and the good thing about working for the federal government is it opens the doors to other federal positions. And grant management, just because you write one for education doesn't mean you can't write one for another thing. Grants are usually kind of, once you get to know the way to actually request them and where to find them and how to do that kind of thing. It's not so much as you're just doing it for this one particular thing. You're a grants writer, you know how to write grants and find those grants and get those grants. So I don't want to say they're all the same per se, but they're not all that different where, you can't write grants for other organizations and agencies just because you started at another place.
Okay.
Same thing with
Thank
most
you.
jobs. I mean, human resources, really, I learned human resources when I started in the military, and then I went to the civilian world, and they're all similar. They might not be the same, but they're similar, and so they get you that foot in the door at one place, and then you can go to other locations and other agencies.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Isa Sanchez. Hopefully I didn't murder your name. Had a question. I'm bilingual speech language pathologist, master's degree, and have experience as administrative officer. Is there any position to me? I don't know if there is for the Department of Education right now, but I know Homeland Security would kill to have you right now, because they really need people that speak multiple languages and do that admin officer type work. So I don't want to say, don't come to us or anything, but I know for sure that they have a ton of positions open for you.
And then you should.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi. I'm new to all of this. I've been married to my husband as a military spouse for almost 25 years. I graduated from Georgetown University with a PhD, but I took a military spouse route, which I think is the most honorable route. And raised 3 beautiful kids. And my youngest daughter is now at George Washington University.
Excellent.
And our kids are doing beautifully and well. I'm a little more conservative, so I took a little conservative route. I'm ready to come back to work 100%. I felt like I couldn't do half and half. I'm one of those people who, if I do something, I'm going to do 110%. So I'm ready to transition. I'm a military spouse. I have a PhD in computational linguistics, which is natural language processing. I think a lot of things have changed in the last 20 years. It's scary. What positions are there? And I don't even know where to start.
Okay. So your PhD qualifies you at a maximum, of a GS 11.
Okay.
Do you want to apply for GS 11 work? I'm not sure, because you haven't. When did you have done this for? You haven't done this in when?
I graduated back in 2001.
Okay.
And then I started moving all over the world with my husband. And honestly, thank you for connecting with military spouses now, because there was no program like this when I, 20 years ago. And so I just supported my husband. He was a commanding officer and I was a commanding officer's wife. I took care of all the other wives and gave all support. But that's the extent of my volunteer experience for the last 20 years, if that makes any sense.
I see how you undermine your own experience, though. You've been for 20 years. You've been a commander's wife, taking care of the administrative business of what your husband does, and you said that like you didn't do anything. You did a lot.
Well, well, you all have done a lot. I disagree. I think you all have taken the biggest step ever. But we're here to support.
Yeah.
And, everyone's doing well in my family. I just now I have a lot of time, and
Right.
I'd like to transition. I never really used my education. Makes any sense? When our first child was born, that's when I finished. And then we had 3 children, and third one just went off to college. So I'm looking for something that can be helpful to everybody else too.
Okay.
I'm here.
So all the experience that you've had as a military spouse doing all of that administrative something, those are all transferable skills.
Is it transferable? Because I don't know how to write I haven't even started writing my resume. This is my first.
That's fine.
I went
That's
to
fine.
family support just last week, and he said, you know what? You should join this group. You really should join.
Okay.
And
So this is what I'd advise you to do.
What should I do?
Everything that you have done as a commander's wife, all of the spouses that you have taken care of, because I like how you said you took care of them, but you didn't say what you did. So you need to go back and evaluate what exactly did you do. Write those in bullet points down over the years, the experience that you had getting them, I can't say what you did because I don't know. But let's just say that you were in charge of making sure that all the new spouses come on board, have everything they need. They need whatever folks need when they come on a military base.
Right.
They need the housing. They need to those are experiences that you have had. You have coordinated, you have organized, you have done all these things, and you have 20 plus years of experience doing it.
Right.
Do not undersell what you have done.
I just figured out how to turn my video on.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know what was going on, so I just figured it out.
No problem.
There you go. Add that to your resume. Zoom expert. No.
Oh my God. I was like,
also, so
2022.
A lot of spouses too, especially for commanders, they have like family support groups. And a lot of times, you guys are in charge of those. So
right.
We did the family readiness group.
Exactly. When we're overseas, you guys are taking care of everything back home. And we understand that. So we
had all the spouses over.
Your ombudsman stuff is going to go on there as well. So
everything is on there.
We did a newsletter, I'm sure.
We did that too.
Yeah.
All of that needs to go on there. That's
we did
what
that
Wayne
too.
was talking about. And us as military, we don't know how to sell ourselves in the private sector, but in the federal government, we're here to assist you with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have a wealth of knowledge, 20 years organizing and getting everybody ready and providing counseling and all of that. That's a ton of experience. What are you talking about?
All the phone calls and everything, but I'm very humble. I don't brag. I give everyone else the credit, not me.
Well, they're not looking for a job. You are. So we need you to take credit for the work that you have done. Like I said, write them down whenever, just on a notepad right now, write down what you did. Don't glass over it like, okay, I assist other spouses. No, that don't tell me anything. What did you assist them doing, and how did this affect what was the outcome?
Awesome.
Write it down.
Awesome. I will. You're the first person that I'm trying to figure out how to redo all of this. Right. So we're transitioning. We're transitioning well. The kids are all stable. My husband's doing well. Our family's, bigger and stronger for everybody. But I do need some work outside the home because now it's quiet. And Are there any other agencies that I can look at, or what?
All of them.
All
So
of them?
I recommend going like
All.
to usajobs.gov has all the federal jobs. They're all there. So
Everything goes.
anything
What
you're
is
interested.
what is that called?
USA
USA
jobs.
Jobs. Okay.
Yeah.
.gov.
Yep.
Jobs.gov.
Yep.
And how do I search it? What's the best?
Right at the top, there's a big search bar. It says search. So depending on
Yeah.
what jobs you're looking for, throw it in there. Throw your search in there. You know, if you're looking for, administrative, just type in administrative. Secretary, look for secretary. If you're looking for teacher, type teacher. All those things, it's literally that easy to search.
Okay.
And then
It's
that'll
very
get you
user-friendly.
started. I will be honest with you, some of the military documents and stuff like that, resumes, probably the worst I've ever seen. And I come from the military background, I was a combat engineer. So really what I did was blow up, roadside bombs, but nobody gave two craps about that. When I got in the civilian world, they cared about all the, paperwork that I had to do when we, got back from mission and stuff like that. They cared about all the NCOERs that I did, and all those things is what they really cared about. So just also be careful to make sure that you're tailoring your resume to the jobs that you're wanting. So like all that family group stuff, that you did while all they were all deployed and stuff like that, you took care of everything. You took care of the finances, you took care of the kids, you made sure people made to the appointments, you did logistical support things, you made sure they were cared for back home and things like that. So same thing, like Shirley Navarez asked a question, like she's a bilingual special education teacher and graduated in 2017 but never worked. She's a stay-at-home mom and now wants to work any positions. I just go to USA Jobs, type in those things. So if you're bilingual, type in bilingual. I think when I typed in, there was like 42 jobs or something, 43 jobs. Just type bilingual. And then so that's all the jobs that they have that are bilingual, that experience is going to help you. And so if you want to be a teacher, type in teacher. If you want bilingual teacher, type in bilingual teacher. You might not get a hit now, but also like they showed you in the presentation, you can put that on your search thing. So it literally searches for you all the times and sends you a weekly email that says, hey, this job just posted, or hey, these are new jobs this week that you looked for, you wanted information on teacher, or you wanted information on bilingual. It will show you those jobs. It'll send you an email that says, hey, this job posted, and you can go in there and apply. I recommend, literally new jobs, hundreds of jobs a day post on that website that are all federal positions that you have ability to apply for. It's highly recommended. So as a teacher and stuff like that, she's not, Department of Education is not, we don't hire, Department of Education statewide, they hire a ton of teachers and stuff like that. We do not. Like if you want a teacher job for the federal government, one of the places I recommend is DODEA, Department of Defense Education Activity. They're the ones that hire all of the teachers for the Department of Defense. So any base that there's education department there, and they hire teachers. So that's going to be a huge place to look. And I know that because I worked at Department of Defense. So like, I worked right next to the DODEA people. But everyone hires admin people. Everyone needs, budget people. Everyone needs all these things. And yeah, you might not start at the highest level making $100,000 a year, but there's going to be a ton of opportunities to go in those GS5s and 7s. And like when I got out of the military, I started as a GS4. So, and within like 7 years, I'm a GS13. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you have the education and ability to learn and, you want to work hard, promise you there's a ton of places there that, are more than happy to get you. It's not just the, work you've done as a mil spouse, but that certainly shows, a lot of different things that you don't realize every day that you do. Especially
Absolutely.
change. Like I don't know anyone that has been with a mil spouse for all these years that doesn't know the meaning of change and
change
uprooting
management.
everything that they have to go do something else. Like, and if you're not fluid, and willing to make those changes and stuff like that, you're not going to make it very far in the military. You're not going to make it very far as a mil spouse. And I think everyone recognizes that. Like, those are things that you're willing to, you hear something, hey, guess what? Next month we're moving to Germany for 3 years on a rotation. And it's like, dang, that hit, what I mean? But some people just aren't willing to do that. And that shows, a lot of ability to be able to do those things. And you have to make it logistically happen. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, where are they going to school at? Where are they going to, where's our new banks going to be? Where, where's our insurance, our health insurance? Where are all these things located? And especially, as a mil spouse for a commander and stuff like that, you're helping a lot of other people with those things as well. Usually, like you said, there's a support group that you guys always have, and that's something that is a lot of work to maintain. And you just don't realize you're doing all that work until you sit down and write all the things that you've actually done. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
it really helps to get your friends, involved too, to say, hey, what do we do as this, because just the simple things are really a lot more work than you think you're doing. So just keep all that in mind.
I think you summed it up. I think you all summed it up, brought it to ground zero for me.
Good.
I appreciate
That
it.
we're able to assist.
Well, thank you very much. I
Well,
appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome, and thanks for joining the group. Thanks for participating.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry it took me a while to figure out how.
Oh, don't worry
Works.
about it. You're here now.
All right. God bless you. Thank you very
Same
much.
to you. Bye. Anyone else? No.
So we have about 13 minutes. Wayne, did you want to go over the list of employment opportunities that you have currently?
Okay, so I'm on USA Jobs right now, and I'm seeing 23 jobs. Let me refresh if anyone posted since we started. Still 23 jobs. One of them is a student volunteer where you do trainings winter and spring next year. Education research specialist is a term position, 3 years, may be extended. Associate education research scientist, also a term position, 3 years. Management program analyst is a 343, is an administrative series. It's a GS 11/12, with 12 being the full performance level. Enforcement director, doesn't say what the GS level is, but it's an SES position. It's an executive level position. There's an accountant position at a GS 9 target 11, or GS 9/11 target 13, I believe. Grant analyst at GS 13 position. Information technology specialist. This is a GS 14. This is the 2210s. It's an IT position. There's a training specialist. It's a GS 14. This is with financial aid. Director senior management. This is an AD position. This is with financial aid as well. We have an auditor, a GS 13 position. And this is with the Office of Inspector General. Supervisor, General Attorney. This is with the Office of Civil Rights. Supervisory Employment Opportunity Specialist, also a GS 14, Office of Civil Rights. Supervisory Employment Opportunity Specialist is a 14, also with Civil Rights. Contract Specialist with Financial Aid. Contract Specialist with Financial Aid. Financial Management Analyst, this is with Financial Aid as well. Management and Program Analyst, this is with the immediate office under the Office of under the Secretary of Education. Education Specialist, Office of Primary and Secondary Education. Management Program Analyst with the Office of Special Education and Office of Special Education. Education Program Specialist for elementary and secondary education. Education Specialist, also, these are GS 14 positions. And accountant with the office, with the student aid.
Shirley had a
Financial
question too.
student.
Shirley Navarez. Sorry, I don't want to destroy your name, but she tried to apply for the volunteer trainee, but the system doesn't work. What was the issue with the system? Number one, so if you have a system issue or something like that, or are not able to apply, I just want to say, like, at the bottom of the application that you're applying for, there should be a name that you can contact or an email that you can send to say, hey, I'm having issues. Email them and say, hey, the system's not working for me, and they can help you out with that certain thing too. USA Jobs has their own, but also each individual agency has the ability to help people apply as well. So
Correct.
also what didn't, I mean, if you want to come off mute and talk about it, and maybe we can help you through it, or you can contact us offline. It's up to you. I think I put the info in the chat too for Wayne. I did, didn't I? Could be wrong.
I'm not sure what systems is, because I'm looking at the announcement. Are you talking about the student volunteer training? I want to say this may be under Nicole's stuff that she does. But if it's a USA staffing issue, USA staffing will be able to assist you in applying for it online. And what they can also do is there's a way of them just uploading your application for you in the event that you're having technical difficulties in doing that yourself. But that's a function USA staffing does.
And when he says USA staffing, he means USA jobs.
USA jobs.
You guys all call it USA jobs. We call it USA staffing because
Yeah.
that's how it works for us.
Yeah, on our end, that's what we see.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So Shirley was saying it's with her creating an account with the Department of Education. So Shirley, I don't believe that's where you apply. You have to
No.
apply it.
You have to create an account at usajobs.gov. So if you go to usajobs.gov, you are able to create an account, create your username, password, create your resume. There's a resume builder there, and you can upload your relevant documents.
If anybody has questions, please raise your hand. We'll get to you. We have about 6 minutes before the next presentation. So Shirley's saying she's having a problem when it gets to her being transferred to the Department of Education. So it sounds like a USA Jobs issue, Wayne.
Right. So you're talking about when you're applying. So you have an account created on USA Jobs. But if you go to apply for the position, it doesn't transfer you over to the application. Is that what you're saying?
So sometimes USA Jobs sends you to a portal to actually be able to apply at the agency's website. And
Yeah.
probably since we use Monster to go it.
No, because I'm trying to do it now. I'm on that student volunteer training position and I'm clicking on apply. And it's taking me to.
And Shirley did say yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to try and see what
Usually
happens.
it redirects you to the agency website.
Okay.
Because every agency actually has a different process for, like, kind of like they were showing earlier, like, sometimes it's one question to say, hey, are you a male spouse? Other times it's 12 questions, or, you know, I think she said like 23 or something like that, but I think she was just being a little.
Okay. I'm trying to log in into my own account and I can't remember my password. It's been so long.
Yeah, Shirley, just get a hold of me and we can walk you through it. I can walk you through it.
Yeah.
And then if we still have issues, we'll do what we can to get it fixed. Because it really might be on our end. Who knows? You never know.
Well, I'm looking.
I certainly don't think our systems are perfect. I promise you that. I've never said that ever.
Okay.
We're always hiring IT, aren't we, Peter?
Shane, did you drop your email into the chat box for Shirley to?
Yes,
fill
I
in?
did. Yep, I gave it to her. It's just shane.wheatley@ed.gov. So I'll be more than happy to go through it on, Zoom or Teams or whatever. She just get a hold of me after this, or probably tomorrow, actually. It doesn't close today, does it, Wayne? It doesn't like close today.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to go through with her and help.
The first cutoff does close tomorrow, though, October 13th.
Okay.
At midnight. So we got a whole day.
Mhm.
We can do this. Get a hold of me, Shirley. We'll walk through it on an actual video call or something, so we can. Sometimes I can't fix things I can't see really sometimes, and what it's doing on your computer is not the same as it's doing on my computer. I can assure you that. Number one, I don't even log in as a user. I'm like a, I don't want to say super user because I'm definitely not that, but I log in as an employee kind of thing. So it's a little bit different when we look at things differently. So I just want to make sure I'm seeing what's on your screen and we can walk through it together.
I'm actually
Maybe
trying to
wrapping
log.
up and going to the next presentation. Wayne, did you want to thank everybody before they leave us?
Yes, is it time already? Thank you all for participating in the program, not just this, nothing just our presentation, but in the entire program. I hope that you have received information that you can use to move you into applying for positions within the federal government. Thank you all for participating.
And if you are going to another agency's presentation, now is the time to go ahead and click on the link to switch over to the other presentation.
Okay, I just went in and it took me straight to the applications. I'm not sure.
Thank you, Heather, for confirming you're here for the last presentation. Yes, Sabrina, stay with us. We're here to help. So Wayne, I'll give us about 2 minutes before we start the next presentation, okay?
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Mhm. And by the way, if you're here, my name is Peter Scarabelli. I'm here to assist with the Zoom technical questions. So thank you for joining this Department of Education. They keep saying Ed, so here I am saying Ed, this Department of Education presentation. We'll get started in about a minute. Okay, so we're going to get started here. If you are in need of the transcriptions, please go to your taskbar and turn on your live transcriptions on your side. In a moment, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Wainwright and start sharing my screen. Again, I'm Peter Scarabelli. I'm here to assist with any Zoom technical questions that you may have. Also wanted to let you know that I am recording this so that it's available for others to watch later and after the presentation is over. So with that being said, please hold your questions until the end or drop them into the chat box to be answered by one of the specialists here. If you have a question that you'd like to present out loud, please raise your hand and then we'll get to the presentations, to the questions after the presentation. And I will ask you to go ahead and unmute yourself and then ask your question live out loud. Wayne, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the Department of Education presentation. I hope that the presentations that you have heard earlier were all very helpful. I know the one this morning provided a lot of information and that you may have follow-up questions. Yes, I will be presenting on the Department of Education, but I'm available to answer questions about hiring within the federal government. I am an HR specialist. I'm the branch chief in the Department of Education on the staffing team. Members of my team are also online with me. I have Shane and I have Sonora, who are here to assist in answering questions. What I will do is I do want this to be very interactive. So the presentation is not long at all, just a quick overview of on education, Department of Education. And I want to go straight into you guys asking questions and just kind of helping you, walk through how to go ahead and apply for positions. So moving forward is University of Education. We have over 56 million K to 12 students taught by 1.7 million teachers in over 132,000 schools. We have over 20 million post-secondary students taught by 1.5 million facilities in over 4,000 institutions. Our mission is to promote students' achievements and prepare for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and, very importantly, equal access to education. How do we do that? How do we meet our mission? Well, we don't hire folks for local schools and classroom. We are an organization or an agency that we are the policy folks when it comes to education for the United States. So we support programs and research and statistical research and evaluation of education across the country. We enforce the Civil Rights Act and the Privacy Act to when it pertains to education. We award more than $47 billion annually in grants. We provide over $120 billion in aid to over 10 million college students. That's how we meet our mission. This chart now is a overview of the Department of Education. We're located in the far left top box there on the Office of Finance and Operations. That's where we sit. Military spouses are recognized under President Biden's executive order on diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce, as well as First Lady Biden's Joint Force Initiative. Currently, we have about 4,400 staff who at the Department of Education. That covers not just the headquarters, but the regional offices and the field offices. There's about 11 regional offices and 13 field offices. The positions we hire for are the positions needed in order to fulfill the missions of the organization. So we do hire a lot of policy folks, education and policy. We do a lot of research and data analysis. So we hire those. Grant management, because we do give out like $447 million, $1 billion in grants. Project management to manage those projects, communication to get the information out, information technology, human resource specialists, and training and development. How do we reach our target audience? We do what we're doing now. We have informational sessions. We do job fairs. We used to do them in person. Now it's virtual because of everything that has transpired over the last few years with COVID. We provide career advice. We go through and assist and help you formulate your resume so you better sell yourself. Attend TAP classes to give information how to apply for federal jobs. We use social media right now. I'm also the social media person, so all social media stuff comes through me for the Department of Education. When it comes to staffing, currently we use mostly LinkedIn, but we have actually started a new work group that is going to, the mission of the work group is to expand our social media presence in order to link recruiting to the other social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms. We provide opportunities for the hiring managers to speak directly with applicants. We are an equal opportunity employer, and we are a very military-friendly organization, and that is the federal government, period, when it comes to equal opportunity and federal and military friendliness. Coming to the federal government, coming to the CDs, to the Department of Education, your benefit starts immediately. You come in, you have your health insurance, retirement package, in life insurance, dental, vision, true saving plan, which is this equivalent in the private sector. It's your 401k. That's there. We pay for you to come to work. And what does that mean? We subsidize public transportation for folks to get to the office, up to $270 per month. There are subsidies for childcare. There's reasonable accommodations if you have a disability. You can earn up from 13 to 26 days of annual leave, 13 days of paid sick leave, time off a teachers conference, and we are work-life flexibility. We have all different kind of work schedule that works with our staff. My staff has very works. Each person on my staff is in a different city, different state, and different work schedule. I have folks working 10-hour days, 4 days a week, so they're off either every Friday or every Monday or something like that. Or, you know, will work and be off every other Friday. So they're all different, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3:30, 9 to 5, as long as you work your core hours. We very flexible on the time you come in and the time you leave, as long as you work your required 80 hours a week. And those hours include your core hours. We at the Department of Education expect you to show up with your whole self. All the experience that you have had has brought you into the person that you are today, and none of that experience is wasted. So we're here to foster growth, foster learning, and to learn from you. Your opinion is important because you're coming in with a different perspective, and we welcome sharing of knowledge, and so we can make sure that we are meeting our mission. The best way to reach out to me right now, we have the recruitment website, which is where most of the recruitment comes in that are not posted on USA Jobs, like for the Peace Score. If there's a position posted only on LinkedIn, it will come here, and that's my direct number as well. I monitor this website, this email address. So that's it. Are there any questions?
First question in the chat from Heather. For what roles is there immediate hiring needed? And what GS levels are you hiring for?
Okay. So if you go to USA Jobs right now, which I'm on, there are 23 positions that are currently available online. There are different grade levels. They're as low as a GS7, as high as a SCS, which is the senior executive level. So they're all different grade levels of positions that are available. I don't see anything that is lower than a GS7. Any other questions? You're welcome. Are there any specific position that you're looking at?
She asked if there's any positions that are remote. Actually, I don't want to say most of them, but starting to be. I mean, it's getting to be more prominent that most of our positions are remote. If not, they're at the very lowest, telework positions. But our positions actually, if they're remote, have it in the title. So it'll actually say remote in the title.
Right. It's a remote option.
Yeah.
And also, if it doesn't say it in the title, there's also something that's in the body, in the announcement that says location is negotiable. So, that's an option. If it's in the title, if it's in the body that the position is negotiable, then you can work anywhere. Once you have been offered a position, you and the hiring manager will declare the location, and that's how it's processed. the location where you'll be working from. Nobody on my team works in our work. Nobody that works for me works in my office. Everybody that reports to me is remote. I have folks in Colorado, Chicago, Texas, DC, Atlanta. I think that's yes.
And Wayne, if you check on USA Jobs and just type remote into the location, I believe you can get remote only jobs as well.
Correct. But if you're looking for, and you also you can search for real location negotiable as well. So you see all the positions that are negotiable. USA Staffing, USA Jobs have really upgraded their website to be very user friendly. Just type in the search engine what you're looking for. I would not suggest you narrow your search by unless you specifically want to work for a specific agency. I wouldn't suggest that you narrow it by agency, but see all the jobs that are remote or all the jobs that are negotiable, and then go from there.
Yeah, so you can put remote in. So there's actually two spots to search. There's location, and then there's the job search, like keyword job search. So there's like the left side box is keyword, so like kind of what job you're looking for, and then the right side box is location. So if you're looking for it in a certain area, you can put a certain area in there. And if you're searching for remote, you can just type in remote, and it'll show only remote positions. Like currently on USA Jobs, there's 425 remote positions. So that's not just for the Department of Education, that's for the entire federal government, but you could certainly search that way, and then you can narrow down your search by whatever you want, by the job, or where it's located, as in what agency it's for, and salary, GS level, any of those things you can search by.
Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll ask you to unmute and go ahead and let you ask your question, or drop it into the chat box.
Yep, all of the question was, our positions are located on usajobs.gov. Yep, all of our positions are on usajobs.gov.
Are there any other questions? Okay, so right now, if you go to USA Jobs and search on the Department of Education, there are 23 jobs out there. Some are executive level positions. Others are like a GS11, GS12, management program analyst. We have an accountant, grant specialist. We have information, IT position, IT specialist, training specialist. I'm just naming the ones that are not executive levels. Auditor, general attorney, equal opportunity specialist, contract specialist, finance management analyst, program management analyst, education program specialist, and one more accounting position. So those are the positions that are currently available at USA, at university, at ED.
The Department of Education.
US Department of Education.
Right, there it is. Right there, Department of Education.
You're trying to find that thing on
Yeah,
the,
I
oh,
was
it's
trying
on
to
this
find it.
side.
There it is, right
Okay,
here.
it's right
The
here.
Department of It's been a long day. This is like our what, fourth or
It's
fifth
been a
presentation.
long.
But if you have any questions, by all means, ask away. Fourth one, okay, 4 times.
Yeah.
Yes, any questions you might have. I mean, we don't have any
Don't be
like
afraid to
Facebook groups per
ask.
se, but I mean, we're here to help you and any questions you have. So
Right. Keep in mind that we are also HR specialists. So when you submit an application to a federal agency, you're going to be sending it to somebody like us. So if you have specific questions that you'd like to ask about how to apply for a job, to make sure that your resume is speaking to your experience, now is the time to ask, because you have 3 HR specialists on here who is more than willing to tell you what we are looking for when you submit your application. So fire away. Let me know what's on your plate, what you're trying to do, and how you're trying to get hired in the federal government.
And Wayne, you gave some great information before about updating your resume for each position. Do you
Oh,
want to talk
absolutely.
about that?
oh, Tiffany
Absolutely.
has her hand raised. You
Where's
want to
Tiffany?
ask? Go ahead, Tiffany. Ask away.
You're on mute. There you go.
Oh, it wouldn't let me unmute myself. Thank you.
Okay.
I was looking for the time you were talking, I was looking for the job that I was looking at. It's called Education Program Specialist. And so I was looking at it earlier in terms of a candidate, what would you be looking for? And what information should be on the KSA? For
Okay. So if you look at the announcement, any announcement, let me go into the 8. Do you remember what grade level the one you're talking about is?
grade level 13.
13 education specialist. Education program specialist 17, 20, 13. Is that the one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I actually have it open. So when you're in here, you want to look at on the first block, which is the duties. These are the duties that the position is going to require you to do. Have you ever done any of them? If you have, make sure that you speak about them on your resume. Let's go down to qualification. Under the qualification, this series does not seem to have an education requirement. Education cannot be substituted for experience. So there isn't an education, basic education. Okay, so here's the basic education.
There is an education requirement for 17.
Right, so there is the basic education. So you need to make sure that you submit the documents here for your education. Do you have a bachelor's degree that shows that you have 24 hours in the field related to the position? Or, so these are all the ors that you need to show that you have. So submit your transcript is basically what I'm saying. Submit your transcript, submit all your transcripts. Okay?
Okay.
That's the one. The next is back up where you look at the specialized experience. You need to have 2 of these 3 specialized experience at least the GS-12 level. This is a GS-13 position. So you need to make sure that your resume speaks to at least 2 of these specialized experiences. Experience in monitoring grants, including reviewing grants, submitting documents, and writing monitoring reports, and in providing technical assistance in the administration of management of funds of funded projects. Experience advising senior level in a school district or state educational agency setting for K through 12 education, number one, I missed that. Experience managing and developing policies, establishing priorities, stuff like that. So if you have two of these three experience and you have the education, you make sure that that experience is highlighted in your resume. And how do you do that? You need to make sure that you show that you have a minimum of 52 weeks experience. One of the things that I like about the USA Jobs website is if you're creating your resume on here, it asks the questions that you need to answer in order for an HR specialist to determine your length of experience. Too often folks upload resumes with not all the information that is required. A vital information that is required are dates. Because we need to calculate that you have 52 weeks of experience. So if you indicate that you work somewhere and you have all of this experience and you have the education and you worked at, an organization from 2019 to 2020, and you only put the year, how much experience do you think I can give you? Go ahead, Tiffany. What do you think? How much experience do you think I'll be able to give you if you say you work from 2019 to 2020?
Just 1 year.
Actually, I can only give you 1 month.
Oh.
Because I don't know when you started. You could have started December 2019 and quit January 2020. I don't know. And I can't assume that you worked there. You could have been there from January 2019 all the way to December of 2020. But I wouldn't be able to, no HR specialist will be able to determine that. Because one thing we do know is that you work 2019 and you stop 2020. So we can only calculate, estimating that, okay, at a minimum, you started in December and you left in January. So it is very important that you put month and year so it can be calculated. And I know it may sound unfair, but we are subject to audits by OPM. And so when OPM comes in and look at our audit and say, okay, this looks like an illegal hire. I said, no, she's qualified. I said, and they're going to ask me based on what? Because I have to be able to stand up for why I decided, how I found you qualified. She worked from 2019 to 2020. I said, okay, fine. How do you know it's 52 weeks? What do you have to go by to say that she worked here and have 1 year of experience when she only gave you the year? That would be considered an illegal hire. And you can be dismissed by being an illegal hire. So it is very important to make sure that you are answering all the questions and are accounting for the time that you have experienced. Same scenario. If you say you work 2019 to 2021, I can give you a year because at a minimum, I know you did all of 2020. See what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is very important to make sure that you document and focus on the experience that is being asked for in the announcement. So a lot of us have multiple experience in different fields. I've been a classifier and a staffer. The position is a 201 series, but I'm going to apply for a job as a classifier. I'm going to talk more about my role in classification in creating positions and using the OPM qualification standard and all the stuff that's required in order for me to classify a position in my resume, then I would talk about staffing and recruiting, because they're not looking for a staffer and a recruiter, even though I have both experience, and I have both experience during the same time period. But I'm not going to pat my resume talking about stuff that they don't really care about. That is not relevant to the job. So I say this to say, read the announcement, read the specialized experience, and speak about the experience that they're looking for if you have it.
Okay.
And unlike corporate America, there is no limit on the amount of pages when it comes to your resume. Corporate America, I used to work at IBM, and after 2 pages, I'm kind of done. The federal government, on the other hand, we literally read it until we find you not qualified. And I stop reading the moment I find you qualified. And if I find you qualified in the first job, after your name and say I've worked here, and I see the qualification in the first, I'm not reading the rest of the resume. But if I don't see it and I see that you have, say you're applying for a job as a secretary, and I see in the job here you've been here for 2 months and you've done secretarial work, and I go down for 2 months and I go down and I say, okay, you've been here and you've done secretarial work for 5 months, so now that's 7 months, and I keep going until I find 52 weeks of experience and say, okay, she got the 52 weeks of experience, let's call her qualified and put her on the cert. If it stops at 9 and I'm still reading and no experience, then you're just not qualified. You don't have the 52 weeks at the lower grade. Okay?
Okay.
Was that helpful?
Very.
Okay, excellent.
And
I
so
see
Wayne,
Heather has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yes, hi.
Hi,
Hi, thank
Heather.
you. Hi, I can't speak today. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this presentation, Wayne. It's sort of piggybacking on your last question. You sort of answered it, but I guess I'm just gonna extend it a little bit. I've always wondered in general, when I see, the qualifications and how much you have to be qualified and for each position, but I'm wondering, even if the person doesn't exactly qualify for a level 14, say you're having a hard time finding someone at that level, are you still willing to take someone at a lower level, even if it wasn't announced as that, and train them, just give them that little bit of extra training in
Okay.
order to meet that level?
Okay. So in the federal government, you can only be hired for the position that is posted. So if the position is posted at let's say the position that I have available is for HR specialist GS12, and it's out there as a GS12. It's posted in USA Jobs as a GS12. That's the only position I can apply for. I cannot, because if I intended to do something else, it would have disenfranchised folks who would have applied had they known. So by law, we are required by public notice to post exactly what is it that we're applying for. Now, it's up to the program to determine that, okay, we try to fill this position and we can't find anybody at this grade level. Maybe we should reconsider the position or reconsider our going out and post at a lower grade level and train them up into the position. I personally like hiring at a lower grade level because it gives a chance for them to grow into the position, and they tend to stay around longer within the position. But no, they cannot post a position for one thing and then hire for something else from the same announcement. It would have to be pulled and reposted as a brand new announcement. Okay. Are you on mute? Okay, got you.
I did kind of want to expand on that just a little bit, just because
Okay.
there's a lot of reasons for different hiring things too. So yeah, if we're hiring at a, you know, higher grade level, we might not even have the ability to train people right now. So say we're in a really busy part of the year or something like that, or we just only have staff like to be able to do the job that we need them to do, or maybe there's only one position that does that. So we don't have somebody else that can train you to do that job. So, and not just with ours, but with a lot of positions are like that, where we don't have the ability to take that time to train somebody. So, when we announce it as something that's a lead position, like a 7 lead 13 or something like that, or a 9 lead 13, or, you know, 5 lead 11 or 12, like we're saying, we as the government, I guess, is saying that, hey, we have the ability to train somebody to do this position at the full performance level. So we can start you here at the lower level, and then we will train you to perform that level at the higher level throughout your career. And a lot of times when you're talking about, like, you know, GS 13 position on there, we've kind of already done that. So, you know, we have a lot of positions that are 11s and 12s, and those people have already, you know, been trained by, you know, having those 11 and 12 positions to take that 13 position. So usually we don't have a lack of applicants at those higher grade levels, because we've already trained them from, you know, 7, 9, 11, 12 to get that 13 level. So we just don't have a lack of, you know, people wanting, you know, $100,000 a year jobs. So you know, you get your foot in the door, get that, you know, 7 lead, you know, whatever position, and then, you know, apply for those higher positions afterwards.
And just keep in mind that at the GS 14, 13, 14, 15 level, that's a full performance level. So you, at the full performance level, you're expected to know the job. You know, we wouldn't apply or select someone at the GS 14 who needs training. That's it. Any other questions?
Go ahead, Tiffany. Go ahead with your question. Unmute yourself.
How do you know okay, so under the qualification, if it says the position is an 11-12 and you must perform it, if it's a 13 position and it says the minimum is at a 12 level, how do you know what's considered a level 12 for that job announcement?
Okay, so when you read a resume, it kind of tells you, based on the language that you use, the level of work that you do. Were you assisting or were you directing? That speaks volume as to how the level of the work that you're doing. You know, assistant work is, you're not assisting anybody at a GS 14. You may be doing that as a GS 7 or a 9 or something, but you would not, you at a GS, at a full performance level, you will be performing those duties. You know, language like those, which is why I said we do, folks, and I've heard that folks, you know, I've heard in conversations before where they say to make sure that you use the right language because we do word search. No, we don't. You know, if you're looking for a project manager and you type in there project manager, you know, we don't do a word search and say you say project manager, so let me say you're qualified and put you on the cert because you use the word project management. No, that's not what we do. What we do is we read your resume. If the project manager works, so that you have directed and developed blah 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 blah, and your resume said I have directed blah blah blah, and the result is blah blah blah, that would make you qualified. If it says that you have assist, you know, then it would read like, okay, you have not really done it at the level where you're not, where you don't need assistance in getting it done.
I mean, all those things are assist, you know, doing the work, leading, supervising, directing. All those things are obviously very differences in what the job is, you know, you're doing. Not just that, like the location that we're looking for. So, you know, if it's a really high level job, you know, it's one thing, hey, I worked at Subway making sandwiches and I was in charge and manager of that location. Or, you know, I worked at Subway corporate and I was managing their financials as the CFO. You know what I mean? So huge differences in like where you're working, the kind of work you're doing and who you're doing it for, and, you know, what you're producing. And so making sure you're explaining all that in your resume in comparison to, this is what I do and who I do it for, and you know, the kind of the breadth and width of what I do. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, they might ask us, hey, have you you know, written announcements and things like that for an HR specialist? You know what I mean? Have I done announcements or something like that? Or if I used you know, automated systems or things like that, like to track the work, or, you know, have I taught other people how to do it? Have I supervised people doing it? Or, you know, an entry level one would be like, have I assisted other people in creating those things, or things like that? So those are things that are kind of identifying in your resume to the amount of experience that you have doing something.
Okay. And
Just
I know
a
you
quick
said
one.
higher level. What's considered like entry level or like higher level? I understand that the GS-13 is a higher level. So what would be a lower level?
Okay, so the full performance levels are normally 13, 14, and 15. Everything below that would be a lower level. So GS 1 through 11.
Thank you so much.
It also depends on the position too.
And it
So
depends on the series.
yeah,
So
like
there's a lot of
full performance a full performance human resource assistant for us is like a 9, I think, or something like that. So
right.
you know, that's the full performance of that level. So I mean, it could be a 9, just depending on what your job. I've
Depends on the
literally
series
seen
and grade.
people be GS7 supervisors. They were supervising a bunch of, you know, GS5s and 4 HR assistants. So just because, you know, you performed it as a supervisor in a lower level doesn't mean you haven't performed supervision. You just haven't done it at the level, you know, as a GS13 or 14 or 15 or whatever. You haven't directed that work, and that, you know, because you can supervise, you know, lower level work like 4s and 5s and stuff like that as a 7. So is it rare? Yes, super rare. But it does happen, and those are things that, you know, show that, yeah, you might have been a supervisor, but if you were supervising, you know, the lower level work, you might not be supervising that higher level work. And there's a difference too between positions being higher because they're supervisory, and other ones that are, you know, require that high quality of work. Some, you know what I mean? Like there's a difference between like a worker bee and a supervisor, you know what I mean? So to be a supervisor, 25% of your job has to be supervision. So Peter said we got 2 minutes. So I mean, I don't even know when he typed that, probably 3 minutes ago. But you know, I want to make sure, yeah, I do want to make sure that, you know, we thank all of you. You know, we really do appreciate the military spouses. We understand, you know, all the sacrifices that you give up to be a mil spouse. It's super appreciative, and, you know, taking the time to listen to us and, you know, our ramblings as we try to, you know, guide you around the process of federal HR hiring. Yeah, I know it's super, it's a big task, you know what I mean? Literally sitting down there and just even writing a resume can be just overwhelming, you know? And it's like, oh, how do I apply? What are they looking for? And, you know, how do I make sure, you know, I get to be sent to the managers, and how do I, you know, make sure to do so much of a process. We understand it, and we really appreciate you guys taking the time to, you know, spend the time with us to get that information and get, you know, and get the help that we can provide. So really appreciate it.
Do we have any more, Peter? Any more presentation after this?
No, we are
Is this
done.
it?
I'm sorry, Wayne, but we have to end it for the day. So.
Oh, darn.
Fool is a charm. So I'm going to stop the recording right now, everybody. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Peter. You've been great. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all